All right, so are you ready for this? We're going deep today. A deep dive into all those nutrition myths we've heard like a million times, taking everything we learned from that Health Talk podcast and really getting to the bottom of it all.
Yeah. It's actually crazy how some of those myths just stick around, even when, like, science is saying something totally different.
For real. And that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive, so you can make smarter choices about your own diet.
Exactly. So we're going to be talking about everything from, like, fats and carbs to how often you actually need to eat and stuff.
Okay, so I have a confession to make. I always thought fat was, the enemy. But Health Talk really kind of opened my eyes to the different types of fat and how not all fat is bad for you. What were some of the things that stood out to you about, like, the good stuff, the healthy fats?
Well, one thing that really stuck with me, I think, was how healthy fats can help you feel more full so you don't overeat. Like the podcast mentioned the study where people who ate avocado with their lunch, they ended up eating less overall during the day.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, I knew avocados were delicious, but I had no idea they could help with that.
Right. It's more than just keeping you full, though. The podcast also said that healthy fats, like the kind you find in avocados, nuts, olive oil, stuff like that, are super important for your brain to work right and to have a strong immune system.
That's really interesting. Okay, so let's talk about another thing we've all been told, like, forever. Drink 8 glasses of water a day. Health Talk had some pretty interesting things to say about that one. I've always tried to stick to that rule, but now I'm thinking it might not be a rule for everyone.
Yeah, you're right. They kind of debunked that whole 8 glasses thing by explaining that how much water you actually need depends on a few things, like how active you are, what the climate's like, where you live, and even what you eat makes a difference.
I guess that makes sense. So, like, someone who's doing hot yoga all the time is going to need way more water than someone who's, like, sitting on the couch.
Totally. And get this, fruits and veggies actually have a lot of water in them, so they count toward your water intake too. And even things like coffee and tea, as long as you don't overdo it, can help keep you hydrated.
Whoa, mind blown. So really, instead of freaking out about getting those 8 glasses, we should just pay attention to what our bodies are telling us, like if we're thirsty.
Exactly. Your body knows what's up.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about carbs. Carbs are like the topic that everyone has an opinion on. I'll be honest, I've definitely hopped on that low-carb bandwagon before, but Health Talk made me realize that not all carbs are bad.
Absolutely. And the podcast did a great job of explaining the difference between, like, the good carbs and the bad carbs. You want to go for those healthy carbs that are in whole grains, fruits, and veggies because those are packed with fiber, vitamins, and minerals, all the good stuff.
And those are the ones that give you energy that lasts and help keep your blood sugar stable, right?
Yeah. Exactly. It's the refined carbs like white bread and sugary snacks that you want to try to avoid because those can make your energy crash and can lead to weight gain.
So basically, it's not about avoiding carbs altogether, but about making sure you're eating the right kind of carbs, the ones that will actually be good for you.
Exactly. Quality over quantity.
Okay, now this next myth is one I think a lot of us have probably believed at some point, that you need to eat 6 small meals a day to lose meat. I remember feeling like I was constantly snacking, trying to speed up my metabolism.
Yeah, well, Health Talk really cleared that one up. They said it doesn't really matter how often you eat as long as you're eating the right amount of calories overall. What really matters is that you have a good balance of protein, fat, and carbs. And, they said just eating more frequently doesn't magically boost your metabolism.
So it really comes down to making sure you're not eating more calories than you burn and also getting all the right nutrients. And it doesn't matter if you eat 3 meals or 6.
Right. And there's this new thing that's becoming really popular called intermittent fasting. And it's not about restricting calories, but more about when you eat.
I think I've heard about that. How does it work?
Well, there are different ways to do it, but one way is the 168 method. So you fast for 16 hours and then have an 8-hour window where you can eat. Health Talk said that it can be really helpful for some people in terms of managing their blood sugar levels and things like that.
Wow, that's interesting. So it's all about, like, being strategic with your meal timing.
Yeah. And I think it really highlights that there's no one right way to eat. It depends on the person and what works best for their lifestyle and what they like.
Okay, so for our last myth-busting mission, let's talk about sugar. We all know too much sugar is bad for us, especially the kind from processed foods. But sometimes I feel like I should just, like, avoid sugar completely.
Yeah, but you don't have to go totally sugar-free. The Health Talk people made a really important point about there being a difference between natural sugars and added sugars.
So what's the difference? I think a lot of people get confused about that.
Yeah, it's not always clear. But they explain that natural sugars are the ones that are found in fruit, and those are totally fine to eat as part of a healthy diet, because they also come with fiber and antioxidants and other nutrients that are good for you.
So I don't have to worry about eating my apple a day. Phew.
Nope, enjoy that fruit. It's the added sugars that you really want to watch out for, like the ones they put in processed snacks, sugary drinks, and all kinds of packaged foods.
Right, like the ones that are kind of sneaky and you don't always realize how much you're eating.
Exactly. And they don't have any nutritional value either, so you just want to be a smart shopper and check the labels to see if they have added sugar.
So basically, it's about making informed choices and not being afraid to enjoy a treat now and then.
Exactly. You don't have to deprive yourself, just be mindful about it.
That makes a lot of sense. So, okay, wow, we've covered a lot of ground today, all these nutrition myths and stuff. I feel like I can actually, go out there and make better choices now that I understand all this stuff.
I know, right? And I think that's what Health Talk was really getting at, that there's not just one way to eat healthy that works for everyone.
Yeah, it's like everyone's different,
Mm,
their bodies, their lifestyle, what they need. So, of course, what works for one person might not work for someone else.
exactly. And that's what makes it so interesting. It means we each get to figure out what works best for us. We get to experiment and find the foods and the way of eating that makes us feel our best.
It's like a food adventure, kind of.
I like that. And while we're on this adventure, it's super important to be nice to ourselves. We're not aiming for perfection here.
That's so true. It's easy to get caught up in all the diet stuff and feel like you're always messing up.
But being healthy shouldn't feel like a punishment. It should be about enjoying delicious food that makes you feel good.
And it's about listening to what your body's telling you, like knowing when you're actually hungry and when you're full.
Totally. Learning to trust your gut literally is huge when it comes to making healthy choices.
Okay, so now that we've busted all these myths, I'm curious, what were some of the biggest takeaways for you from Health Talk? Like what really stood out?
I think for me, it was really realizing that you have to think critically about all the nutrition information out there. Like, don't just believe everything you hear. There's so much misinformation out there. You have to really do your research and understand the science behind it all.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think it's also about accepting that everyone is different. What works for one person might not work for you, and that's totally fine.
Exactly. It's all about figuring out what works for your body and what makes you feel your best.
And it's about being kind to yourself along the way. We all mess up sometimes, but we're all on this journey together. We're learning and growing and trying to make healthier choices.
I love that. And it's not just about what we eat. It's about how we think about food, too. It should be a positive experience.
I couldn't agree more. Okay, so before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with something to think about. This wasn't something they talked about on Health Talk, but I think it's really important. How can understanding these nutrition myths and, all the stuff we talked about today help you make healthier choices and feel more confident about what you eat?
That's a great question. It makes you think about how to actually use what you've learned to make changes in your life.
Right. It's not just about knowing stuff. It's about doing something with that knowledge. It's about taking control of your health and making choices that are right for you.
It's about being in charge of your own health, not letting all the confusing information out there control you.
Exactly. So as you think about that question, remember that you have the power to make choices that will help you be healthier and happier.
And every little step you take towards a healthier lifestyle is a huge win.
This deep dive has been so interesting, and I feel like I've learned so much. I hope you have too.
It's been great talking about all this with you. Keep learning and keep taking care of yourself.
We'll be back next time on The Deep Dive with another awesome topic to explore. Man, I can't believe we're already at the end of this deep dive. It's been like a total whirlwind of nutrition knowledge.
I know, right? Time flies when you're busting myths.
It really does. But seriously, this has been such an eye-opener for me, and I hope it has been for everyone listening too. We've learned so much about what we thought we knew about food.
Totally. It's all about questioning those old assumptions and really getting to the truth, right?
Right. And the best part is, we don't have to stop here. This is just the start of a lifelong journey of learning about nutrition and how to take care of our bodies.
Exactly. There's always something new to discover, some new study or some new way of thinking about food that can help us make even healthier choices.
So true. And it's kind of exciting, right? Like, we're not just stuck with what we were taught growing up. We can keep learning and keep evolving our relationship with food.
Absolutely. It's all about empowering ourselves with knowledge so we can make decisions that feel good for us.
I love that. All right, well, before we sign off, I just want to say a huge thank you to you for sharing all this amazing info with us. It's been such a pleasure chatting with you and, like, picking your brain about all things nutrition.
Oh, the pleasure's all mine. It's been so fun diving deep into this topic with you, and I hope everyone listening has enjoyed it too.
And to everyone listening out there, keep those brains curious, those taste buds adventurous, and most importantly, keep those bodies nourished.
Yeah. Take care of yourselves and keep exploring the amazing world of food and nutrition.
We'll catch you next time on The Deep Dive for another exciting adventure into the world of knowledge.